Ready? Oh, Hildy laugh right in on the gate. Love that. Matt's here. Kathy Deitch is here. We'll just wait for Kathy to request, and then we'll get started. Hey, Angela. Hey, Teresa. Hello, Miss Frau Winkler. I don't know your real name. Oh my gosh. Abby. Hi, Abby. Let's see. Kathy, did you request? Because I'm not getting a... Oh, there it is. Awesome. So 1 second, we'll have Kathy and we'll get started. Listening to my favorite Dua Lipa. Really love this song. I think it's fantastic. Kathy D!
Hi, I love it too. I'm here sitting here dancing.
Yeah, it's that Dua Lipa song. Do you know that song?
I do, because I teach the kids and they're obsessed with it.
You're an educator.
Who knew?
That's
I
funny.
what? I don't know.
Well, I want to talk about that because I know several people that have taken a master class with Kathy Deitch. By the way, it's going to be hard for me not to say your full first and last name, just so you know, because I think it's like a brand, like Kathy Deitch. Because we have so many friends in common, but we've never hung out directly. And literally everybody says this about you. Oh my God, I love her, Kathy Deitch.
It definitely, no one ever just calls me Kathy. If anything, it's Kathy Deitch, or it turned into La Deitch, which is like a whole thing that happened in the Wicked Green Room at one point. I went crazy one day and was like, Viva La Deitch! And like, then people call me La Deitch. And then it was La Deitch. I don't know. Can we just talk about how I look like I put on makeup, but I look like a ghost?
No, I think you look gorgeous.
I'm giving you I mean, this is what happens when people who are already white as paper are forced to stay inside. I turn invisible.
But no, look at your skin, how gorgeous and porcelain that skin is.
The mannequin I have back here is like at odds with me. We're very close in tone. By the way, I have a very skinny mannequin, which is really fucking annoying to have with you during a fucking sequester. And it's for a stupid, it was an amazing sketch, but I'm so mad I still have this in my house. Anyway.
So
hi.
I'm so first of all, I'm thrilled we get to talk today. And basically this is how it goes down. It's the same 10 questions, no matter who I talk to, the same 10 questions, but there's no right or wrong answers. Just have fun with it. I know you will, because you are hilarious. And there's a theme song that's picked for everybody. Of course, yours is gonna be this one. Oh, where is it? I mean, can you hear it? Yeah. And we're gonna talk about why in a minute. Okay, thanks, Jeremy. So, the first question is, what's your name? Where'd you grow up, and where do you live now?
My name is Kathleen Ann Cecilia Deitch. A lot of names because I'm Catholic. My people call me Kathy Deitch, like we talked about. And I am from right outside Philadelphia near the airport, which kind of explains everything about me. We were a very large family in a very small house. And I'm just loud in general. And but I live in Los Angeles after living in New York half my life. I moved here. Yeah.
How big is your family?
I have 3 brothers and a sister.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and my parents are, knock wood, doing very well.
So
yes,
five total plus your parents. How many bedrooms? Did you share a bedroom growing up?
Oh yeah. I mean, we were in a twin home, which, you know, you hear about row homes in the city. That's what in Philly we call them, row homes. And in suburbia, when they built, you know, low income housing, they turned them into twins, which means you like had like a side yard. That was like the only difference. But it was a tiny house. It was 3 bedrooms, and then we refinished the basement. So my brothers did get kicked out and be put down there. I might have had my own room for a few years, but not many.
Where do you fall in the in the?
I'm second, believe it or not.
Okay.
Everyone thinks I'm the youngest. It's boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, and I'm the oldest girl.
Oh my gosh. And you lived there until you went to college on Staten Island?
Yes, at Wagner College.
Wagner College, yes.
Yes, Staten Island. Yes.
Wow. All right. I didn't know that about you. I love that.
Yeah.
Question number 2. I love a sound effect.
Effects are so good.
So good, right? Adjustment, because it's a
Rohams, Matt. Rohams. Yes. I don't know who that is.
little
but
dramatic.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt R. He's a one of my followers. He's hot. He's a good time. The second question is, describe yourself in 5 words or less.
Describe myself in 5 words or less. Loud, creative, passionate. There's a better word than that, but I'll take it. I am fair to a fault. Like, I care about fairness. What's that? Just it's hard to make it one word. And I think I'm a good friend. I'm a good friend.
I love that. I love that. What are your top 3 items to get really passionate about?
Well, right now I am head deep into fat activism, which started kind of by accident, but it really right now more than ever is something that I'm really passionate about, with the inequality for fat people in almost anything you can think of. There's an inequality for fat people. So especially with the medical industry and the way we're treated by doctors is really, really, really abominable. The body bias research that's come out of Harvard and other schools that have been studying it are really bad. So that's probably the top one. Also workers' rights, especially for actors. Like there's sort of been this lackadaisical approach to blue collar actors now, with all of this like make it yourself stuff happening. And honestly, right now I'm trying to get at least, I feel like equity, there is an easier way to do this. I feel like SAG, the disparity between people at the very top and the people who are just the blue collar actors is so vast, and we don't really quite have the connection with them. Like, we show up to a theater every day, and the people who are above the title are in the show with us 8 shows a week. So I have a much more solid rapport with people who are headliners, and I feel like we need to draw them into getting us rights. I have a really big thing I want to start doing with equity actors. Basically, that would change all of our lives. And I think I do believe this, Jim, that right now, unions have the most power they've ever had now. Like, we actually, because everybody's at home, because everybody needs something to focus on, like, if we could harness that power to really make our union strong, I feel like there's never been a better opportunity to make our union strong.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to say, the way the unions rallied together to provide for their members when all the tours came off the road about 5 weeks ago now was really impressive. I had not seen the unions band together in that way ever in our industry, and I worked on Broadway shows since '98. So I was like, all right, well done. And like, I have friends that are working on not the big shows. My friends that are on Hamilton are still getting paid because it's Hamilton. But on the smaller shows, I have friends that are, got like a little bit of a severance, and they got a little bit of extra benefits. And I agree with you. I think there is an opportunity right now because the industry's at a standstill and everybody's reevaluating. But it's going to have to be a whole reevaluation from the bottom up, because as someone who's worked as a booking agent and in the producing office, everyone loves to shake their finger at the producers, but the producers love to shake their finger at the theater owners. And they say the theater owners make all the money, not the producers. And then, the actors, like, why don't we get as much as the stage manager? And like, everybody has another person. I think it has to almost be a rehaul of how it's all structured. And I think it needs to start in New York, and then it will trickle out to tours. That's my 2 cents, you know?
And I have like a really big idea. Well, we're going to talk after this. And I
I
think that like any movement, you don't need 100% of the people, right? You start with 10% of the people and then you get 60 to be on your side. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just needs to be a tipping point. And I think we could really, really, really reorganize completely. So those are the top two that, and of course, like just like people who are at the most marginalized, like disabled people right now, it's all breaking my heart what's happening to them. People in nursing homes, people in prisons, like it's people who are in abusive relationships and can't get out in their homes. I mean, I've gotten like calls about all these things from like people I know, and yeah, it's all making me nuts. And there's something to throw your weight behind right now, so to speak. No pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah. The next question's a little bit of a trick question. How did we meet? You're not going to know the answer.
I've been thinking about this, and I was wondering if it was a tour. Did I see a tour? No.
Oh, no. Well, I remember two things. Number one, a friend who I noticed is here watching. She went to Wagner College. She was there for a year. She was in the Hello Dolly that starred the other Kathy. And I believe she was Ermengarde. So I knew her from being upstate. We grew up near Albany. So flash forward, I get a job at Dodgers. I'm now working on Footloose, tour, and Broadway. I become very aware of who you are, and we'll talk about that in 1 second.
And I live with Diana Brown, who was in the office at the time.
Yeah. And my friend Allison, who went to Wagner, she worked in an agency right above me in the same building, 1501 Broadway. So I said to her, I said, there's this girl in Footloose who I can't get enough of. And I only knew you from watching you on stage 6 times a week because I was enamored with the show, and it was my first Broadway job, so I felt like I had big time. So I said to her, I said, yo, by the way, it's Allison Sharpley. She's yelling Uncle Horace and her laughing. Yeah, that's who it is. So I said to Allison, I said, who is Kathy Deitch? She went to Wagner, and she goes, oh, she's one of the 2 Kathys. When I went there, the 2 Kathys were the most talented girls in the theater department. True story. And then there was, I think, the 1-year anniversary party where there was like a big cake. The Dodgers always did a cake and a party. And
delicious cake, a shoe cake, sneaker cake.
Yeah. And I remember I was, all the office people were always over by the bar getting drunk, and you fabulous cast members were always like on the dance floor because you're gifted in that area. But I met you at that party. So, but I mean, it's so like obscure, you know what I mean? But I mean,
I have such great memories of all that. By the way, my friend Sanford Marcus is here, and he worked at the Rosie O'Donnell show, and he was obsessed with Footloose as well. And I met him through that too. And we're still really dear friends to this day, which I love. He literally had my roommate at the time who he knew call me and like make me say hi. Like, it was hilarious. And I was like, we're going out for a drink. And he's like, we are? I was like, see you at the Palm. And like, we were at the Palm. But Jim, I have such fond memories of that time. Like, my friend Diana Brown, like I said, was working for the general manager over at Dodgers, and just like Sandy and all those I just love that group so much. And I'm sure I met you. I'm sure I was drunk, and I'm sure we danced.
It's hilarious. Yes, and yes, we didn't dance, but the first 2, yes. But what I want to say, getting back to something you're passionate about, your advocacy for people of size is so genuine and honest. And what I found really interesting, a few minutes ago you said, lately I've become very passionate about. And I have to tell you something. As a person of size, I've been a big boy since I was in kindergarten, since I was 5. When you walked on stage in those overalls, singing a third and an octave above Jeremy, true story. By the way, headline, nobody belts like Kathy Deitch. A belt for the ages. So, it's a true story. So I was literally like, who Is she? And so for me, your advocacy for just, it doesn't matter what size you are, just be and be successful and be confident, really, I think it started way before you realized it.
You're very sweet. I mean, listen, that's something that at the time I was too young and too like self-obsessed, like just ego, and trying to be a thinner person all the time to really even get what that meant. It is now, all these years later, that I for sure understand it. I was so funny. I just had Josh Lehman on the show. I have a weekly, well, right now it's sort of bi-weekly, although I'll be on next Thursday, but whatever. I digress. I had to cut. I had cuts because, you know, of the COVID. So, but Josh and I were talking about how it's kind of extraordinary that when you're in the motions and you're in it, you're only like trying to get through the next show or the next performance, or you're trying to like keep your butt. Like you know, when I was in Wicked, I was in physical therapy 6 days a week just to do the show. So you're so obsessed with that you don't even take in that there are like high school kids who are watching me play a high school student in Footloose and what that meant to them. Like, I know that now because I have peers that I work with who are like, no, I was obsessed with you. Like Jolene Purdy, who's an amazing, amazing actress, saw Footloose on the road, but the program was of the Broadway cast, and she saw me and she was like, oh my God, this girl looks like me. Do you mean like I could be a chubby hoppa on Broadway? Which, by the way, is hilarious because I am not half Asian, but she thought I was. And so I take credit for her career, is what I'm trying to tell you. She's like a brilliant star. She's been on like a million things. But hi, Jolene, if you're out there watching later. But yeah, so like stuff like that like hit me later. At the time, I was just like hustling to get that gig. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And now like it's almost like I feel the importance of it, especially realizing how starved I was growing up for it. Literally like couldn't get fat people who sang even into my eyeballs. The first one I really took in was when Ann Wilson of Heart was in her fabulous videos at their like, you know, What About Love phase. And I remember watching her on MTV and being like, oh my God, she looks like me. And I was so happy. So yeah, no, and I love that people are openly talking about representation in a way where we can have these conversations.
Yeah.
And it's not like people are like, oh yeah, that's weird. You know what I mean? Like they're like, people get it, you know, in a whole other level. But that's very sweet of you to say.
Now, watch this, by the way. This is from my head. I did not look this up. Prior to Footloose, you had done hair in Europe. You were Chrissy. True or false?
True.
Yeah. I don't know why that's in my head, by the way, but I have a weird memory. So what flipped in your head as you're auditioning for Erlene in Footloose? What gave you the confidence? Where did you muster that, you know?
Listen to me. In college, I never played a role my entire career. There was one, I had like 4 lines in a scene. I played Mrs. Brown in Me and My Girl, where I got to have a Cockney accent. That's like a whole other story. But so I only did 4 shows my entire career out of the 16 that were on the main stage. So I took over the studio theater my junior year and started producing and directing the things that I wanted to see and wanted my friends who also weren't getting parts to be in. So I learned how to take a no in college. Mm. So when no's just bounce off of you, like that is your confidence. And I had a teacher who was an audition teacher, Stanley Zarek, my senior year, who basically was like, you have to start treating these like opportunities to perform. Because it's 90% of what you do. Yeah. And so that was my confidence came from, this is the only time these motherfuckers are gonna see me. So I better make it good. So when I got Chrissy in hair in Europe, I was literally the only character on stage that, oh, hi friend, you did explain it because I'm on Instagram Live. I was the only person on stage to have a solo by herself on stage. Like, the rest of the show is not built like that because everyone's going to get ready for the be-in. So singing Frank Mills was like literally the first time I'd ever done that. So talk about trial by fire, you know? Yeah.
And when I came back into the city, like, it's amazing what a little bit of money will do. I'd saved some coin. I got my apartment in Park Slope. Like, I was hanging out with friends. And my first audition I booked. I got a reading of a musical that was happening at the Triad called Guess Who's Coming for Chitlins. And I had like a big gospel song at the end. And Jerry Dixon wrote it, who was in Once on This Island, which was like my favorite musical of all time. Yeah. And Rodney Hicks, who was in Rent, was directing it. And so the audience was Rent and Once on This Island. And as I'm going, why is it clear? Like, I'm having this like gospel meltdown, like, because I get to play stage manager who's very frustrated. Anyway, it just so I already had, and that's how I got my agent. So like going in, like I was prepared. Like I was like, I had my up tempo, like I'm gonna sing Think, and I just would make people laugh, and I realized that was the gimmick. Like I went in looking like I was Midwestern, nice lady, nice young girl, and then I would sing, an Aretha Franklin tune and not have issues. So, and that was sort of my gimmick to make people go, oh my God, what is even happening right now? So, I don't know. I honestly believe, Jim, that I was fucking talented as fuck, and I just loved to do it. Like, and it wasn't like I needed someone's approval to let me know that. Like, after each no, I always circled back to that truth that it was like, this is what I'm passionate about, and I'm good, and like, I love it. Like, what else am I gonna do? So, it's not a trick. It's not a trick. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, people think it's some kind of confidence trick, and it's not. You just have to get to a place where you like know you're good.
Yeah. Well, well, you're phenomenal. That doesn't hurt. But number two, I hear you. You have to start to know yourself as the instrument, right? And you need to just get behind that worth. And every time you walk in the room, you have to deliver that. You just have to deliver that and know what that
sometimes you don't. I mean, I have a whole on Vimeo, you can go find it. Just put in Kathy Deitch worst audition ever. And I did a 20-minute storytelling show. I was only supposed to go on for 10 minutes. I did 20 minutes of my worst auditions storytelling, and it's pretty fucking good. And Footloose is in there because I went to a dance call that I had no business being in. Should not have been in that Footloose dance call.
I've seen that video, and I recommend everybody go watch it. It is hilarious. All right, question.
Wait a second. I have to fix the sound. Ever since that person called me, it all got screwy. Hold, please. And people are texting me. They need to everybody needs to relax. I'm just trying to do things. It's difficult
to be so popular, Kathy.
What's happening? Wait, is that any better? Hello?
It's a little bit better, yeah.
You went down in volume though. Like I can't, it's like I have an earpiece on.
Oh, better, louder. I'll project. Okay.
I think I made it worked. Okay.
Awesome. I love it. Question number 4. If money was no object, you just answered this question. If money was no object, what else would you be doing for a living?
I would be making the shit out of my own stuff is what I'd be doing. And doing it for other people too. I was thinking about this because, I did prepare a little bit. I was looking at your questions. I was like, what would I be doing? And I think I would make that movie. I think I would make that TV show. I'd make that musical. I think, and collaboration's my favorite. I mean, that's why this all sucks because I'm such an extrovert, like true blue extrovert. People are like, I'm thriving in Corona. I'm literally like, go fuck I am not thriving. I'm dying a slow death. So I want everyone around me all the time. I'd have all these people in your chat. I'd have Steph in there with me. We'd make something like, I would just make things all the time.
Yeah. Are you quarantined alone right now or are you with somebody?
No.
Yeah, me too. I hate it. I can't.
No, yeah. I'm not. And look, as I hear the ring of ambulances in my, honest to Christ.
It's the worst. It's yeah. All right, question 5. Past or present, who would be most surprised to learn that you have or maybe had a crush on them?
Oh, this is a good one. You might remember him. I don't know if he would be surprised, quite honestly, but Clint, who was the drummer in Footloose, started my drummer problem.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I was too insecure and too like, oh, I'm fat, like stupid. I'm sure he would have turned my shit out if I let him. And then he ended up getting married, and then he ended up getting married again, but I just ran into him on the street, and we had like a lingering hug like a few years ago. And I was like, oh, this man, so hot.
So hot.
I love drummers so much, Jim. It's like a problem.
Yeah.
Like, I have a Heart tribute band in New York, and I had to keep having drummers who had wives that I knew personally, they were my friends. Like, because I have a drummer problem. Can't mess around my drummers. I love them so much.
I hear you, girl.
Do you know who I'm talking about? Do you know that person?
Yeah. Oh, no. I remember vividly who that is. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, chill.
I don't think I ever came across him again after Footloose, though. Like on any, I don't know where he went.
I feel like he was the Hairspray drummer.
Oh.
For a long time.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah. Think about the drums in that show. It's amazing. All right, number 6. What movie or TV character do you most strongly identify that you haven't played?
I mean, that I haven't written. I mean, I was thinking about this too. You know, I always felt like a romantic lead. Like, I always felt like I was the romantic lead. I always felt like in any Drew Barrymore rom-com, like that's who I actually was. And like 50 First Dates or whatever, like all of them, like I always felt like that's actually who I am, but like the world won't see me that way for some reason, but I'm gonna make them, because I always felt like I had like, and my acting teacher was the one who really pulled this out of me. I love him so much, Matthew Corazine. Like, he always was like, you're such a romantic. And I feel, actually, if I'm really honest about it, George Sand in Impromptu. Do you know that movie? James Lapine movie?
I don't know that movie.
Oh my God, did I stump Jim Lanahan?
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh
yes. You have to see it. It's incredible. It has Bernadette Peters in it, and Mandy Patinkin's in it, and there's Hugh Grant. There's so many. It's about the romance between Chopin and George Sand.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about a character you played that I think everybody will find interesting. So you were in a movie called Magic Mike XXL.
Just a little film.
And Channing got his Tatum all up in your business. So.
Well, it wasn't really Channing. Okay. I mean, I got to watch him for hours do that.
Yeah.
That dance and get up in other people's business. It was Maddie Bomer.
Oh, interesting. Which is
you
hotter.
Have to see it. Here's the thing. Oh, my best friend Joanna's here. Hi, Joanna. So Magic Mike XXL is actually the feminist movie that no one watched, and y'all are in quarantine, you're horny as fuck. Go watch it, get your toy, let it buzz, get your champagne, and watch that shit. I will tell you, on set, we were so in love with Miss Thing, Red Table Talk, Jada Pinkett Smith. Mm-hmm. She walked out in her white tuxedo, and like all of the girls who were there, because there was like a bunch of us who were all like together and knew each other, we were like, why are we having feelings? like I've always been the straightest person in a room, and I was like, no, I would do whatever she wanted right now. So, but on top of that, Maddie Bomer is also the most beautiful human in real life, and
gorgeous.
He's so beautiful, and that head of hair is unmatched. And one take, he literally hit my clit with his nose. And I'm not even kidding. And I yelped, and my belt flung off. It was very dramatic. I had like a snappy big bow belt, and I yelped. It flew off. The person ran over and gave it back to me. And he goes and he puts his arm around me in between takes, and in my ear he goes, I kind of got up in there that time, didn't I? that motherfucker.
Yes, you did.
It's like maybe the happiest day of my life. It literally might have been the happiest day of my life. I love it. And then we continued to talk about how Jada was going to turn both of us. He's like, I promise you, Kathy. He's like, I would do anything for that woman. I was like, I know. Anything. I would do anything for her. Yeah.
She's amazing because she just exudes that like confidence, the power, you know? I love it. Yeah, I love her.
Really, and while making you feel like you're like totally in charge all at the same time, like she's such a queen. You have to watch it, guys. Just go and watch it. Allison, I wish I was your hero. I mean, just go watch it. You'll make yourself happy. Like if you're up late at night, it's the perfect getting to know you movie.
I love it. It's amazing. The story's amazing. Question number 7. For what reason would you constantly find yourself on the cover of the tabloids?
Oh, I aspire to be Jane Fonda right now. Like that's what I wish I could afford to do that. I really do.
That's amazing. You're kind of like, you know, we don't live in gorgeous mansions and, you know, in where does she live? Probably Malibu. But you have that mentality. I can see that. You need to get like a big windfall and then just spend all your money like being the fiercest advocate ever and like,
I'd be
fuck
so
it,
annoyed.
arrest me, I'll go to jail, I don't give a shit.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm all about it. I'm kind of mad that hasn't happened to me yet. I'm sure it will one day. When the rent strike comes, I'm sure I'll be on the street and they'll arrest me.
Oh, well, there's a new bill today. Hopefully it passes where there's rent forgiveness. It's a federal law. Fingers crossed. So, question number 8. White meat or dark meat?
This was a tough one. With gravy, white meat, without dark.
I love that.
That might be a cheat. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I also differentiate, like, if I'm having fried chicken, I want breast. If I'm having chicken sandwich, I want a really moist piece of dark meat up in there, you know, like in a biscuit.
I literally am going to go right. Like I've just gone food shopping 2 days ago. I have no business. You're going to make me go out and get fucking fried chicken.
I mean,
I've been dreaming, Jim, about fried chicken since this thing happened. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did before this. I don't think I ate fried chicken a lot, by the way. But I literally, all I care about is fried chicken in this crisis.
Yeah, all I want is a Popeye's fried chicken sandwich with the pickles. And the other thing I'm craving is deep dish pizza. I don't even know where to get that in LA, but I want it really badly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, no. I go to Tomato Pie over in Hollywood. That's another story. It's delish. Question number 9. What is your favorite curse word?
Mother cunt. No, fucking cunt. I love saying, lately it's been you fucking cunt. It's like the first thing that comes out of my face. I was at the Trader Joe's and they're so good. They line you up outside and they explain to you exactly what's going to happen. And they were like, so follow the things on the floor, follow the path, try to move quickly. We're all trying to be spaced out, stay 6 feet away from each other. Don't clog up the things, but they literally break it down for you. And then motherfuckers in there go do whatever they want. I literally, there was like a cluster of people at the end of the aisle, and I said, you fucking cunts move! Like, I literally called them fucking cunts without even thinking about it.
What did they do?
They were like, they moved. But I'm like, you're all idiots!
Have you gotten more aggressive?
Fucking cunts move! It was like that.
Have you gotten more aggressive since the quarantine when people aren't following the rules and then they're like too close? It drives me crazy. You know what I mean? I'm legitimately yelling at strangers. So like, put on a mask! You're like, you know.
Legitimately.
Yeah.
Calling people idiots to their faces.
Yeah.
No, I just don't have the time or the patience to like mother people through that moment. It's like literally they're like, what do you think is happening right now?
Yeah. And you know, we're at the age where our parents are old, so like there's so much more at stake. We're not in our 20s anymore. We can't be carefree about this. Question number 10. What is the last text you sent and who did you send it to?
I think it was ugh, that's terrible. Because Jim, it was a day full of really bad news today. It was like so much bad news about a good friend, mutual friend of my best friend and I. His dad died 2 weeks ago. His mom just died today. A friend of mine's husband has been in Chicago dealing with his dad's death. Like it's like coming, and we just got all the that he was gonna have to say goodbye through FaceTime. It's like so like it's just I think it was just a lot of ugh.
Yeah. Life is so much harder to navigate right now, you know? It sucks. It's just I'm so sorry to hear about your friends.
Yeah.
You know, there's a bonus question. What is your favorite thing about Kathy Deitch?
Oh. I like that I can get off of myself enough to actually put attention truly on other people. I'm glad I learned how to do that, to like really listen to people, like not like peripheral listening or trying to think of the next thing I want to say, like to really find present moment with people. I appreciate that skill set that I have acquired. I think it has served me extremely well.
Yeah, no, I agree. My favorite thing about Kathy Deitch, among many, is her award show commentary. Nobody dissects an award show like Kathy Deitch, and
I'm really obnoxious.
Oh, it's so good. Like you know, like if I'm working for a producer, I've worked for all of them except for Barry and Fran. I won't talk about the Tonys because I know someone's going to slap me upside my head. You will give them hell. You're like, no, this is what's happening with Audra's dress. This is what's happening with someone effing up a song. Like you are. And then the Oscars and the Globes. You literally should have a show. You should be on E.
You know what? The one that I'm really merciless about are the Grammys. Those are the ones that feel like they're full of the most stupid people in one room with the most privilege for some reason. Like we give people who give us music such a pass, and it's interesting that that's like R. Kelly, like one of the biggest monsters out there, is the only one to really go down when there's like an R. Kelly or 20 at every label. You know, one thing that I found out, I spent time in 12-step rooms here, not in the cool 12-step. I was in the Overeaters Anonymous. And then I realized it wasn't really that I overate. It was just that I hated being fat. And then once I stopped being fat and then realized my food was fine, I was like, oh, I don't need this program. But I spent time in those rooms, which means that you find out about who's in other 12-step programs, because everybody out here who's in program talks about working program. And through that, I have met so many young women who were lured out here to do music, and some producer roofied them, drugged them, kept them strung out in order to be their sex slaves, pretty much. Like, and that is, so the Grammys, I feel the most entitled. I feel very like I'm entitled to make you all feel like a piece of shit. The Tonys, I definitely walk a line. Yeah. Because, you know, it's, I don't really want to hurt people's feelings, but there are some people I consider, what have I ever really said about Audra? Nothing, because I think she's genius, but I feel like you could punch up on Audra. Do you know what I mean? She's doing okay. Like, I don't have to worry about her. Do you know what I mean? Like, like what's her name? Oh my God, terrible. Everything went right out of my head. Sutton Foster. She's another one. Like, you can make like a fort out of your Tonys. I can fucking make fun that you still can't get someone to come do your hair. Like, why does your hair people hate you so much? You don't let anyone at the theater do your hair? Like, when I had a concert, I literally had like, my entire team went like this. Have you seen photos of my All Heart concerts? I literally look like a queen, and that has nothing to do with me. It's because people were like, we want to help you for free. And like, I look like a diva. So come on, you should be, that says something, Sutton. You need people to help you.
Yeah. True story.
Why not accept help? And then make them a little famous in the meantime. You know who I love? Michelle Federer, who is with Norbert, Leo Butts. They met during Wicked. I caught them in a walk of shame. And I was sort of like the first one to find out. We were all walking to the theater for rehearsal in San Francisco, and they both were so embarrassed. They came over to me and like put me in the middle of them and put their arms around me. And I was like, I hate both of you so much right now. But she always had like the best style and taste. Like she's just the best. And she's also like the best human. Norbert is also twirling out some tunes on his Instagram lives. His IGTV. I kind of want to do like an IGTV of me singing with my friends who are doing IGTV and like doing harmonies.
I would watch that.
It's layered. Anyway, I'm babbling.
No, I love it. I love it. Tell us a fun Wicked story, like your first time going on as Morrible. Oh,
is that fun?
I don't know.
It is. You know what? It's fraught because I've been almost 2 years the understudy for Madame Marble. So I did Wicked for 2 years, and then I left, and then I did it for 2 more. And I've been on the rake stage. I was so terribly injured. Like I said, I was 6 days a week in physical therapy just to do the show, and they weren't allowing me to go on as Madame Marble because they said, Joe Mantello said that they don't want that me understudy. There's like an older lady understudy who they wanted, not the person playing Shen Shen. But I was like a grown-ass person playing Shen Shen. I was like well into my 30s. So, and I was good. So I eventually made that work, and they gave me 2 performances on a Saturday matinee and a Saturday night. And Stephanie Block had just joined the show, and she is like my dear friend. We became like besties out in San Francisco, and to this day, she's like one of my dearest friends. And you know, so like we have the put in and everything, and it's awful. And I hate the adrenaline of understudying. I will never understudy again, not because I think I'm above it, because it is the hardest job, and I do not like that adrenaline rush. Like swings are literally superheroes. I don't understand them. I do not handle adrenaline well. Anyway, so, but I've been very practiced, and everyone made sure I would be fine. But Stephanie Block and I, literally 10 minutes before curtain, go, oh my God, what if we laugh? Oh my God, what if we laugh? What if we can't keep it together? Like we had this weird, like, you're my best friend, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to handle this. How are we gonna laugh? Am I gonna laugh? And when I tell you, we made a promise that we wouldn't, and we were so good. We were so good. I got teary. I mean, like, we were so good. And I had a very dear friend who came just to see it and was like, Kathy, I didn't think you were going to be able to pull it off. I have to be honest, because you're just so young looking. He's like, you were so fabulous, and you and Stephanie were great. And I just had it was so great to do it with her, you know?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I don't think it matters that you're young. I mean, I get that she's older, but Morrible's the character where they can cast Sheryl Lee Ralph. Right now, they have a trans woman playing Morrible on Broadway. So it's like, why does it matter that you're young? Like, anybody can step into that. And if you're talented,
I guess they don't. I guess Joe, by the way, I ran into Joe the week I was going on, and I was like, thank you so much for letting me go on. I've been working on it for like a year and a half. And he was like, you're going on as Morrible this week? And I was like, they told me that they had to ask you permission. He goes, oh, they're such liars. Kathy, they don't tell me. No, of course you should go on. I was like, it's one of the reasons why I left, because I hate people who lie. But he was very sweet and was like, said he would try to see it, and he didn't get to see it. But, you know, I think there's a part of me, like, if someone feels like they could be the same age as a student, that makes sense. But like, I was a grown ass adult and a very good actor, and you saw me rehearse it for 18 months. Like, you should know whether and if I'm not capable, you should not have me do it, you know? So it is funny, you know. I want to say something. I love Alex so much, who's doing it right now, Alexandra Billings. And I was sad. I was in New York for Broadway Con, and I was there just before. I didn't actually get to see them. Her and Lindsay Peace, who is the new Elphaba, who I actually coached for her callbacks, and it was really, I knew, when she was singing in my living room, I was like, you're gonna get your equity card playing Elphaba, and I'm gonna kill you. I'm like literally gonna murder you. She was such a genius. I mean, like chills everywhere. She's so brilliant, and I didn't get to see it because they were still in rehearsal. Like I got there just before they opened, and now all this happened. So I was planning on going back in March to see them, but I will say that it's very interesting because, you know, when Carol Shelley was doing the part, she sort of had a thing that she played where Madame Morrible was actually an animal trying to hide her animalness. She was trying to pass as like a human, which is why she had the wig with the things on, like covering her ears, and why she always had big tools like covering her tail and stuff, and why she always wore all the powdered makeup. I mean,
amazing.
Carol the queen, honey. So I always thought that having a trans person would be like so connective tissue. Do you know what I mean? Like it would so like there would be something.
Have you been able to tell Alex that story?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I love that. I love that. By the way, Jimmy Smagula's here. We love some Jimmy Smagula. He says he was there and you were fabulous, says Morrible.
Thanks, Jimmy. I know you weren't a believer, but then you did.
Before we go, I want to make sure we get a chance to talk about your current projects, particularly the vodcast, because I know you're so passionate about it. So tell us about, so everybody understands, like, what is it, and who do you talk to, and when is it? And then I want to make sure everybody knows where to find you online.
Yeah. So if you head over to Plus This Show, what if I put it in the comment right now?
Love it.
Oh, look at me. Plus This Show is it was a weekly, now it's bi-weekly podcast. It's a vodcast, so it's a video podcast. It's like a live YouTube show or Facebook Live. You can literally, if you're not into social media except for Instagram, I'm sorry I don't put it on Instagram, but you can find it on ubngo.com. By the way, if you go to Plus the Show right now, in my stories there are links. You can just like swipe and get there. Like you don't even have to think about it. And I put them in my little highlights under tease, so you know who's coming. And basically it's to just give fat people a platform. As far as women goes, back then it was, when I first started this, it was 67% of American women were size 14 or above, and now it's 68%. Excuse me, as I drank my tea and now I'm burping. Now it's 68% of women, American women, and we are seen less than 2% of the time in media, TV, and film. So once I was aware that disparage, I was literally like, that is cavernous and I want to shorten it. So I wanted us to be seen. I wanted us to be on screen, which is why, even though so many people are like, just do a podcast, it's so much cheaper. It is, but the effect of seeing fat people talk is more important to me. So you can watch us, which I hope you do, but you can also listen on podcast form. It's on SoundCloud. And basically, like, it's entertainment-y, but it's really, I've been digging into the like people who really know things and are real activists making real headway. And some of them are people who are fat allies, like Christy Harrison was a couple weeks ago. She's a major HAES dietitian and just wrote an incredible article in Wired about what's happening across the country with COVID and fat people, and how they insist on putting obesity, which is like a garbage term to begin with, and BMI, as we all know, if you know anything about fatness, you know that BMI is total bullshit. And if you don't, then please go back and watch my episodes, and there's plenty of places where we talk about BMI being garbage science, but about how people are anecdotally saying that fat people are in trouble, when in fact it looks like by the numbers that fat might be a protector in this disease. So there's just like a lot of misinformation, and so I'm trying to get the people who really know how to talk about this to really tell us, like, how do we advocate for ourselves? How do we advocate for others? And I hope you guys, it's Thursdays at 6 o'clock this time, but on Thursdays, it's like an hour long. And on Facebook, we chat if you have questions or whatever. And hi, morning and night in Australia. That's incredible. Australia has an amazing body positivity movement, which is really, really great. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Also, another side thing I'm doing is I'm a part of a sketch group called Fatch.
So good. I love it.
Because I can't just do one thing. Like, I have to do all the things. And it was started by Nikki Bailey, who's a comic, and it has, like, amazing cast members. And you can meet us all on Fatch, F-A-T-C-H, comedy, also on Instagram. And we have some videos that we've put up. We had, like, a really hot beginning of the year. Like, we had a sold-out show at UCB on the main stage. We thought we were badasses. And then we went up to the San Francisco Sketch Fest, which we got into the first time and sold out there. Like, people are starving to see fat people on stage. And that has been kind of life-changing. And last week with Josh Lehman on, we and Claire Wilcher, we talked about, like, being in a show with, like, another fat person is crazy because usually you're the only one, and like how, like, profound it is when you're, like, share, especially with Fatch where we're all fat. Like, it's just extraordinary. And people who are fat watching us cry because they realize they've never seen that ever. We're always a token in entertainment. So that's ways. And yeah, go figure it out. And just look at all the pretty fat people on our page. We have, I make my Instagram a place where, you know, this is one of the things that I tell people all the time, Jim, and I'm sorry I'm babbling, but I feel like this is really important. So our brain takes in information the fastest with visuals. So even though, like, you're like, that smell reminds me of my grandmother in 1984, like, that is not the way your brain computes information the most. It's literally by seeing things. So if you're only seeing something 2% of the time or less, your brain, it literally is trained to think that that doesn't exist, that's less than, that's not normal, that, right? So if you just get into your eyeballs, fat people doing fabulous things. We follow dancers, you know, acrobats, weightlifters, ballerinas, all kinds of people, tons of cross-country people. And we post them, I repost them all because we need to see it in order to change our brains. So if anybody's looking for a place to start, like, you're like, I need to get more fat people in my feed, just go to Plus This Show and start adding people. Because everybody we post has fabulous, fabulous feeds that you will love. And so, you know, you have to change your mind in order to, you literally have to change your brain in order to change the world. So let's change your brains. The end.
You are so incredibly insightful and smart about a lot of things, but on this topic.
Come on.
And you are changing people's hearts and brains because I'll tell you, it takes somebody, you know, not everybody could do what you're doing. For instance, when I was 4, and you walked out on that stage in those overalls, I was like, who is that girl? And there was a representation that I could latch onto. And I didn't know you, and I was obsessed with you, right? So using your superpowers for good, I just think it's the most important thing in the world. And here you are 25 years later, and you're still doing it. And when you say things like, you need to see these people to change how your brain is wired, it's 100% true. And a lot of us don't think that way. And I just want to commend you for that because it's almost a level of advocacy that people don't do because fat is a shameful topic. Fat is not a cool topic. Fat is whatever in our industry and our culture in this town where we both live. So it's almost a little brave, and it's almost a little, and I know you don't see it that way, but a lot of people would. And I'm just really proud to know you, Kathy Deitch. You're doing good things.
Sweetest. Guys, you're all so sweet. Thank you. I mean, it's just the truth, and, like, we're the majority now. So, like, fuck everybody. Like, COVID here. Like, why are we sitting on these feelings of feeling bad because we're not living up to something? Like, you are what you are. Like, be here now. If this isn't teaching us anything, it has to teach us that, right? And so this is my piece. Like, there are so many other pieces like that. I'm sure everybody who's watching has their own piece, right? And this is just my piece. It's the thing that I'm moving forward with, and I know the peace of mind that, like, the noise in my head has stopped since I've been doing this work. And if I can gift that to somebody else, like, that is doing the work, because I can't believe how free. I mean, as tortured as I was for so long, I'm just so free now. And I just want everybody to be free, honestly. Let's be honest.
Amen. I love that. Okay, so they can find you where? Just say all the socials one more time.
Plus this show everywhere on every platform. And Facebook is kind of where we like to chat a lot, if you want to chat. And Fatch Comedy, FATCH, fat plus sketch equals Fatch. Hashtag making Fatch happen. And we have a Facebook group for that too, and an Instagram, which is really fun. And yeah, and Ladiche, LADEITCHE, which is right up there. And you know, I'm a whore for it right now, so let's do it.
I love it. Kathy Deitch, thanks so much for being on the show today.
I love you so much.
And
Thank
listen,
you for having me.
We need to have brunch with Stephanie, executive producer Stephanie Laff, and her full title.
Can we please?
Yeah, because I do want to talk to you about that union stuff that we were talking about earlier. And last week, Tom Lenk was on this show, and he has an interesting perspective. So you and I need to dig in on this. So over brunch.
Do. I mean, my time with Tom Lenk in Titanic, the musical, was like a dream come true. That's like a whole other thing you can investigate on your own. Literally, I was like, you're an uber genius. I don't even know the props that you've created. He's such a crazy genius. Oh, look, plus this back there. But yeah, like, let's definitely chat it offline.
Yeah, totally. All right.
You're the best. I adore you.
Have a lovely evening. I'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye.
Yeah,